Haggai chapter 2 verse 12 to 14. If one bear holy flesh in the skirt of his garment, and with his skirt do touch bread, or pottage, or wine, or oil, or any meat, or the correct term for meat is food, shall it be holy? And the priest answered and said, No. Then said Haggai, if one that is unclean by a dead body touch any of these, shall it be unclean? Right? A dead body would be anything that's died, right? So if you slay a lamb, if you slay a bull, and if your hands have been touching that, you've been touching a dead body, right? If you go to a supermarket, if you buy a steak, you've just defiled your hands with a dead body, because it's a dead body part, right? So this is what Haggai is trying to tell the priests, right? So let's go back to chapter 13 again. Verse 13. So then said Haggai, if one that is unclean by a dead body, touch any of these, shall it be unclean? And the priest answered and said, it shall be unclean. Then answered Haggai and said, so is this people, and so is this nation before me, saith the Lord. And so is every work of their hands, and that which they offer is unclean. Okay, so what that's saying is, all what they're offering, right, they defiled their hands with blood, right? If you read Isaiah chapter 11 and chapter 10, Isaiah chapter 1, God expressly tells Israel constantly, right, your hands are defiled with blood. The blood of what, right? The blood of animals. It can only be the blood of animals. I wouldn't think that it was anything to do with murder or anything like that. I think it was something else, right? It was to do with the slaying of the beasts. Your hands are defiled with blood, and I hide my face from you, saith the Lord. Right? And this, that this verse and in this prophet is telling Israel something very specific. He's telling them to repent from these evil sacrifices. It's so clear. It's so clear. It makes so much sense, right? And now I pray you, consider from this day and upward from before a stone was laid upon a stone in the temple of the Lord. Since those days were, when one came to a heap of 20 measures, there were but 10. When one came to the press vat for to draw out 50 vessels out of the press, there were but 20. I smote you with blasting and with mildew and with hail and all the labours of your hands, yet you did not return to me, said the Lord. Consider now from this day and upward, from the 24th day of the 9th month, even from the day that the foundation of the Lord's temple was laid, consider it. Right. Is the seed yet in the barn? Yea, as yet in the vine, and the fig tree, and the pomegranate, and the olive tree has not brought forth. From this day will I bless you. So, what I'm trying to get at here is, right, the prophets say one thing to Israel, and Israel do their own thing. If you read the prophets, Jeremiah, Isaiah, Amos, Hosea, and if you study what they write and what they warn Israel of, it's very clear that Israel had their own religious practices, which they had learned as their traditions. And it was their traditions which God was tired of constantly coming to them about, you know. I just wanted to point that out to you, because this verse came up when I was doing some studying, and I just wanted to clear this up, right? So, if one bears holy flesh, I don't think there's anything holy about the flesh, right? But somebody's obviously put holy flesh in there. So if you've been touching meat, if you've been touching dead bodies, right? If you touch a steak, you've just touched a dead body. And if you touch holy things with it, it's going to be defiled. This is what the prophet is telling them, right? And if you go to Isaiah, he expressly says so many times, right, that he's not pleased with any of these stuff. You know, he's not pleased with sacrifices. He's not pleased with the eating of flesh and the dead animals. And that's it. These warnings are constantly throughout all the warnings of the prophets. Everybody seems to overlook it, right? I just wanted to clear that up and just to point that out to some people, if you are listening. Hope it blesses some of you out there, and well, I'll speak to you later.